Hey, spooky people, it's your best friend Kenny here. And today we have another spooky Christmas folklore story. This is Gilbert the Highwayman of Kent. Now, first, I know what you're wondering. What is a highwayman? I didn't know either. I had to look it up. A highwayman is basically someone who robs other travelers on the highway. Why it's any different than just calling him a robber or a thief, I don't know. I don't know if this is a higher class of thief, if highwaymen are somehow higher on the totem pole than your typical common thief, but look, it's English stuff, okay? You know how weird they are in England. This Christmas ghost story takes place in Kent, England. According to local lore, Gilbert was a notorious highwayman who terrorized the roads of Kent in the 18th century. His terror came to an abrupt end one Christmas Eve when he attempted to rob a coach carrying a young woman and her father. As the tale goes, the woman recognized Gilbert as the man who had murdered her brother. In a fit of rage and vengeance, she drew a hidden knife and stabbed Gilbert, who passed on the spot. The woman was consumed by the act and the trauma of the encounter and went completely bad the next day. The local folklore says that the spot where Gilbert met his end is now the site of a recurring haunting. Every Christmas Eve, the altercation reenacts. The ghost is once again stabbed in the middle of the highway. The setting of the story is Hawkhurst in Martin, Kent. Although not much is known about Gilbert's life and his crimes remain shrouded in mystery, highwaymen were a genuine threat in 18th century England. These outlaws preyed upon travelers in stagecoaches, creating a climate of fear and uncertainty on the roads. This folk story, with its Christmas Eve setting, adds an element of revenge and a unique twist to your typical Christmas tale. The story of Gilbert the Highwayman is a story of a different time. The concept of these highwaymen, which, we don't really have much of a similar type thing in the United States, but this sort of thing, romanticism for this type of era sort of persists in the UK, allows for a different type of story. Further, despite the joy and levity of the holiday season, it's important to remember that there are ghost stories that go with this season as well, so that even Christmas has its spooky stuff. Alcatraz Island, or the Rock, has been the source of incredible suffering for decades. It should come as no surprise that Alcatraz has its share of ghost stories. However, one of Alcatraz's most famous ghost stories is a Christmas ghost story. Alcatraz Island has long been a source of fascination for paranormal enthusiasts. While the island's reputation as an inescapable prison and the stories of infamous inmates like Al Capone often take center stage, there is a lesser-known tale about a haunted Christmas feast. Alcatraz has a deep history with the supernatural. Even before it became a federal penitentiary in 1934, Native American and indigenous tribes believed the island to be a gathering place for evil spirits. Throughout the prison's operation, there have been reports of unexplained sounds, apparitions, and cold spots. Despite the harshness of prison life at Alcatraz, Christmas offered a brief respite for the inmates. In an attempt to maintain morale, special meals were served and inmates received gift packages containing treats like candy, fruit, and cigarettes. The stark contrast between the grim environment and the effort to provide a semblance of normalcy during the holidays is a testament to the complex nature of life on the Rock. In addition to a full turkey Christmas dinner, the inmates were often treated to a variety of other festive foods. For example, celery soup, vegetable dressing, sweet potatoes, mashed potatoes, asparagus, and desserts like walnut layer cake, chocolate cake, mince pie, and fruitcake. Entertainment was also provided to lift the spirits of the inmates during the holiday season. Historical records indicate that they enjoyed movies, vaudeville shows, and athletic competitions. At some point on Christmas Day, somewhere between 1934 and 1948, depending on the source you read, Warden James Johnston hosted a party for the prison staff at his residence. As the festivities were underway, something happened. A ghost materialized before the stunned guards. The ghost was described as a man with mutton chop whiskers and a gray suit. The room grew ice cold, and the fire in the stove was inexplicably extinguished. The guards were shaken by the encounter and were too frightened to remain, and the party ended. Now, there's a similar ghost story at a different Christmas Eve party that was also hosted by Warden Johnston. And this time, the ghost was described as wearing a brimmed cap and a gray suit from the Victorian era. The sudden drop in temperature and the extinguished fire also occur in this telling of the story. Now, no one knows who the identity of this Christmas ghost is. And, typically you don't really know the identity of ghosts, right? Ghosts are rarely come around sort of identifying themselves or providing forms of identification, right? Some skeptics believe that this was just a misidentification, that the guards may have mistaken a living person for a ghost, especially in low light. Kind of feel bad for the guy who got mistaken for a ghost, if that's true. Skeptics also say that a sudden cold spot and extinguished fire could be attributed to drafts or malfunctions in the fireplace rather than a supernatural presence. Fine, where's the fun in that? People believe that the spirit was a former inmate or a former guard, which makes, a lot of sense. Considering the harsh reputation of Alcatraz and how difficult life was there and the sheer amount of suffering, if you're the type of person who believes in paranormal activity, Alcatraz would be the great type of spot for this type of paranormal activity to occur. Make sure that you are following me on Blue Sky and TikTok. My username is AKBrews. Make sure that you are following me on Twitter. My username there is AKBrews. If there is a spooky story you would like me to cover, please send me an email at thespookylawyer@gmail.com. I appreciate your support. Thank you for watching my video, and please stay spooky.